Well, I managed to break a screw and had to drill it out. Oh dear. Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rider Rambling. Chilly, but as you can see, relatively bright today. Before I discuss it was actually a bolt, not a screw that I broke, I want to discuss why the French don't usually use eBay. Because this is actually related to breaking the screw. So I thought I'd discuss that. So basically, in France, most of the items on eBay are from the UK or the USA or the Far East. There's very little actually from France itself. So if you actually go onto eBay to order something, it's usually from outside of the country. Germany actually does a bit on eBay. And so consequently, if you want to buy something, eBay is not really the place to go if you're in France. So what do the French use? Well, Amazon, of course, and some of the Far Eastern shopping sites like Banggood and Temu and AliExpress and so on. But for auctioning things, like you do on eBay, there are two options. There is a local system that I'm not sure who actually runs this, but each sort of locality has a system where you can post things for sale and see if anybody's interested, or you can use a platform called 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝗵𝗵, which direct translation is the good corner, but basically means the corner shop. If you want a proper translation. Now, 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝗵, the reason why people don't use eBay in France is twofold. First of all, it was always in English when it first came out, so French people back in those days didn't actually use English very much, and so consequently they didn't use eBay. And two, it was full of scams and people getting ripped off, and so consequently this company called 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝗵𝗁 saw an opening, and they created a system that stops, well, I'm not going to say you don't get ripped off, but it makes it much more difficult to rip people off. So what happens is you can list your items with some photographs, etc., rather like you do on eBay. If somebody is interested, then they will click on the buy now, or they make an offer, and the seller has 48 hours in which to respond. Now, if the seller does not respond within the 48 hours, then the transaction is automatically cancelled. So you don't pay initially until the seller responds. So you wait for the response from the seller, and then at that point you make the payment, and the payment is always through 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝗵𝗁 for two reasons. Of course, the first one is so that 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝗵 get their money, and the second reason, of course, is to make it secure, because it's 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝗵 who pay the seller, you pay 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝗵. And so everybody uses the monk one. Now, why am I talking to you about this? Well, as I said, I broke a bolt. And I needed to get a new one. Of course, this was being a Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, about 5 o'clock. The garages were closed. I could have gone to, you know, the French equivalent of Halfords, which is called More Auto, and places like that. But when I looked on their website, they didn't list these bolts as being available. So I started looking for a bolt. Now I needed an M6 30mm bolt, and in the end I got it off Amazon, the French version of Amazon. It's actually coming from Germany, believe it or not. 4 in the pack. Now you might say, well, why aren't I going to Yamaha? Well, after the debacle with Yamaha, I do as little as possible with them. I'm not prepared to give them my business, basically. So anyhow, I found a pack of 4 stainless steel bolts on Amazon, and I bought them. So where is this bolt that I managed to snap? How did I manage to snap it? And what did I do about it? Well, the interesting thing is, if you look at the dashboard, you might notice that the ABS light hasn't started flashing yet. And I'm hoping I've cured it. I'm not going to say I have. I'm going to say I'm hoping I've cured it. And so what I was doing on Saturday afternoon, because it was persisting it down, was I decided to strip completely the rear brake pedal, switch, the whole gubbins. And although I'd put grease on the sort of brake pedal assembly, on a number of occasions, sometimes nearly weekly, and thought that that was going to solve the problem, what had actually happened was actually inside the brake pedal assembly, it was completely and utterly dried up, horrid, grungy, nasty, and very sticky, actually. So I disassembled the whole lot, cleaned it all off with brake cleaner, that type of thing, and reassembled it. We have them today and reassembled it completely, and because I'm ham-fisted, I always have been with bolts and so on, I'm very good at over tightening things. I always use a torque wrench. So I put the bolt into the brake pedal, to the bolt that secures the brake pedal to the mechanism, and I got the torque wrench out, checked what the setting is, which was 28 Newton meters or something like that, and torqued it up, and snap. I kid you not, the torque wrench hadn't clicked. Now, I'd been using the torque wrench, I'd used it on a number of other bolts that I'd when I was reassembling the rear brake pedal assembly and switch and that type of thing. So it had done that fine, and I knew it was working, and I had changed the settings to the right settings and all of that, and I later checked it against another torque wrench, and it was absolutely fine. So I have no idea why it decided not to work, but it snapped the bolt. So I had to drill the bolt out, or what was left of it. It actually came out quite quickly, because as I was drilling the pilot hole to put the stud extractor in, it actually came out by itself as I was drilling the pilot hole. So that was that. And I did have a M6 by 25, which does fit. It is, as I say, 5mm short, but it does fit, so that's what's on at the moment. And so I've ordered these stainless steel bolts from Amazon, which is actually coming from Germany, and they're due tomorrow, so I shall try again tomorrow. Let's say I might take the luggage scales down if I can find them. God knows what the girls have done with them. And see if both torque wrenches, I actually have 3, but I know one is out of calibration. You need to drill out rivets to recalibrate it, so I'm not going to do that. But I have 2 that I know are within calibration. I'm just going to check them to make sure that they are, and see what's what. So I shall do that tomorrow when I get back, and put these brand new stainless steel bolts in, well, bolt singular, and just in case I have more problems, I have 3 more left, which is quite nice. I do like to have spares of bolts. It's just I didn't have the 30mm. I just had a 25mm, but never mind. Anyhow, so far today, as you can see, I have no flashing ABS light, so it looks like the problem was a build-up of old grease, actually in the center of the brake pedal pivot, that was causing the problem. That seems to have been the problem. I think the van behind wants to marry me. It's rather close. So we will see. I have been using both brakes as I would normally use them today, just in case. So I've been braking as I would normally brake. I'm using both brakes at this moment, and it seems to have solved the problem. Wonder where he's going with the boat. Probably the Seine or the Marne. We will see. So yes, that's that. So I've had an interesting week. In case you haven't seen, I've put up a couple of videos of going through the countryside in France. These are the very back roads in France on a Sunday. So I go through the little towns and the little villages, and quite a lot of the roads are single track, or at best 1.5 track. They're not flat, so even with stabilization you can see the bike bouncing up and down, whereas the camera seems to stay in the correct place. So they're up on the for you to look at, and there'll be another one out on Sunday, which will probably be the last one for a while, because I haven't been out and about very much recently due to the weather and that type of thing. So they will the next ones will come when we get some better weather. Not too sure when we're going to get that. That's the only problem. So that's it for now. Please like, comment, share and subscribe, and